Currumbin again. I'm gonna try and catch some shows. I'm eating in the vehicle. Needed a Red Bull this morning. Ran and driving. Looks like it's a pretty sunny day. So I finished eating breakfast and then I realized that I didn't say why I was eating breakfast this time and not last time. So we left a lot earlier. It's about 7:25 in the morning and we're probably about halfway there. Just about to get into Burleigh, which is usually where there's a bottleneck of traffic, so we'll see how it is today. So yeah, we're trying to catch the early feeding of the lorikeets. So there's two feedings. There's one at 8 in the morning and there's one at 4 right before the park closes. So last time we went to the late feeding and no lorikeets came. So the lady who was running it said to try back in the morning because that's usually their busier feeding. So we're trying the morning feeding and hopefully there's not a whole bunch of planes and stuff flying ahead that scares them away and they'll actually get to feed some lorikeets. The other thing that we remembered this time, because their website didn't say, was it's free to go to the feeding, but if you actually want to participate, they want a gold coin donation. So if you want to feed, make sure you bring $1 or $2.
Say that the money from that funds the entire park.
No way. Really? That's big news.
At least listen to the announcements that say that.
Oh, I was too busy fighting off people to keep my spot. Yeah. That apparently didn't matter, so yeah, a little bit of regrets. Yeah, so we could have had an encounter with a snake. And I was like, oh, but I don't want to lose my spot. And then it turned out the spot didn't matter, so heads up. If you're watching this now, you know spots don't matter at the feeding. Not if you don't have a pan. Yeah, so last time we went, we were walking around and looking at all the animals. And we didn't catch any of the shows, so that's...
It's the show day.
We're going to try and catch all of the shows today. And who knows, we might stop to see if the wombats are actually in, and maybe the Tasmanian devil. So I think those are the two that we kind of missed. But I guess you'll see in a couple minutes whether that was successful. Back at Currumbin. So we're hanging out with Dinky Bill, the mascot. Gold Coast actually has a lot of these guys around, these koalas that are painted. I'm not really sure what that's about. Anyway, so we're waiting at the front of Currumbin because apparently if you're doing the early lorikeet feeding, you're not allowed in until 8 o'clock. They make you wait outside so you can't actually get ready for 8. And
Only allowed in there if you're doing the koala breakfast.
yeah, which we are not doing. Not this time. Maybe eventually. I don't know. So, we're waiting for 8 o'clock, which is in like 15 minutes or something, because we're nice and early. Get some good footage. Oh, pretty sure it's running.
The higher you hold up your places, the more likely to come here. Alright, a little bit of history about our lorikeet feed. So actually the lorikeet here in South Island is longer than we had. quite a few. Now, in the past, you might have heard of people doing Lorikeet Feeding. They love it, but it's not very good for them because the fur goes away from the rock, making it very challenging.
Yet to get a video of Jenny getting pooped on, but it's
I already did.
Oh.
It got pooped in my arm.
Taking video or pictures.
Oh. Still going, an hour in. Oh, and she just refilled me. They just keep coming. I'm going to get over to you. Can you see their little tongues though? They also love my hair. Come over the edge. Come on. I guess not. Oh, I think I'm getting low. It's on my face. I had like 4 of them. Felt like I had like 4 of them on my head, and Brandon didn't help me. Oh, maybe in the shade. So, it's really hard to see. But like, all those tiny little red scratches on my wrist and my hand and even my thumb. That is lorikeet battle wounds. Okay. Pelican Point. The pelicans are all lined up, ready for their feed, which is in about an hour. We're actually recording this time. Because that is a common thing. Okay. Now we can go, because Jenny's actually recording this time. So the little black cormorant was in the tree, the little pied cormorants were on the beach, and the pelicans. Or maybe they're just pied cormorants, not little pied. I don't, the faces are a bit different, I didn't pay attention to that. I don't think Brandon knows either. He's looking at the map for us. It's a beautiful day at Currumbin. We're just walking, hopefully to the wombats. I believe that's the direction we're headed. See if maybe they're out today. We want to catch the Pelican and Eel Feeding, which isn't until 10 o'clock, and it's 9 o'clock now, so we have an hour to look around. And it's wonderful. If you come when the park first opens, this is the food and kid area. It's absolutely empty. None of the food stuff is open yet. The train isn't running. It's like the perfect time to like get a nice quick walk in through the park. When we came last time it was 11 o'clock or something when we got here, closer to noon, so it was really, really busy. When we first got here, it was quite hot, quite sunny, but luckily it's a partially cloudy day, so the clouds are actually coming out, so it won't be hopefully quite as hot as we thought it was going to be. It'll be bearable.
That's my day.
Oh, this is our app, and you've selected all of these?
Yeah, I just hearted them and they show up in my day.
Oh, awesome. So these are kind of the things we're looking at doing. Pelican show of the bird show, Tasmanian devil, koala, dingo, and turtle. So they have a whole bunch of different talks that are on, and they seem quite short, but it'll be nice to do the dingo and the Tasmanian devil because we didn't really get a good look at either of them last time we were here. So koala right in the tree. He's napping. So yeah, this is the area, and we're about right there. So these guys are from Eastern Australia. And I believe this is the nursery. So there's a koala in that tree right there. She is sleeping. And they have this nice big area. So it says a koala will give birth in 35 days. And of course they have couches. Oh, there's the koala in that tree right there. What's nice is that we came nice and early, so there's actually nobody here. There's a couple in this tree up here. You can probably see that one looking like it wants to have some breakfast. And then there's a huge pile in the back. So there's two there. Oh, there's one right up there. And there's at least 5 in the tree in the back. Oh, jokes. There's 2 in that tree. So yes, I would advise coming early. The lorikeets are way more active today than they were yesterday. And at least for the next, hopefully, more than 5 minutes, we get these koalas all to ourselves. You might be able to hear the train going by in the background that's carrying a whole bunch of people and kids.
Let's see if there's wombats.
Yeah, let's go see if there's wombats. So this koala is just fascinating because he's out in the open. Okay, let's go see wombats. So the wombat is supposed to be right here, which is behind that nursery area. So yeah, they're live in the ground. That's why they're so difficult to see. Yeah, so this is the one area, and you won't be able to see anything.
Yeah, there's nothing in there.
You can see the...
What?
Oh. The screen with the interesting facts. Wombats have square poo.
So it won't roll away.
Won't roll away, and they mark their territory. And that's what it's supposed to look like if we saw it. Yeah, and then you probably can't tell because it's so dark, but here's a tunnel where they can come in. But there is none in there. My guess is there probably won't be any outside.
Maybe in the box.
Maybe in the box. Well, we tried again. Maybe one of these days we'll do the twilight tour. So Currumbin does a twilight tour where they I think they charge you a special fee, and you come back like after the park is closed, and it's like a nocturnal thing. And it shows things like wombats and the Tasmanian devil, so that might mean that that's when you would see those creatures more. You can hear something howling, and we're not sure if it's kids or the dingoes. The kookaburra! Which ever since I fed one is like my new favorite animal. Bird anyway. I don't know, the lorikeets are really cool today. There's the kookaburra. I had no idea until we fed them that they actually eat meat, small rodents and stuff. And their famous call is actually a territorial thing. So that sound that they make is warning other birds that they're feeding on their territory, I guess. The kookaburras were singing, and all I could think of when they were calling was like, "Screw you, Bill, this is my territory." There they go again. I just imagine them being like little old white guys sitting in the tree being like, "This is my land, get out of here." What's hilarious is there's a little pond, so we went to see if we could see anything, and then some people saw us in there and they're like, "Oh, they must be looking at something." So then we just went, and they were trying to like see past us. And
if you're trying to see a crowded exhibit, you just go somewhere else and go, "Oh," start pointing and screaming and people come running over.
We'll head back to the feeding area, and it is probably super busy. If it's anything like, well, I guess the lorikeets didn't have that big of a line today, but last time when we came for lorikeets and some of the other things, there was like huge groups of people, like way before, so. Yeah. So the one on the left is a mini pied tamarin. And there's a black one, pelican. Those are just the normal pied. The larger ones would be yellow. Just waiting for the show to start. It's just draining the battery. Egg. Even though it's sitting on it, I guess. You know you're being filmed. You look like you know you're being filmed. Yes, that's your good side.
As if you just turned your back on your kid like that. Like terrible fathers. What are them going to eat it? The circle of life.
That one's bored.
Think about this. This is weird.
I like how it seems like he's synced with the music. Maybe that's just my brain.
welcome to Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, and a very special welcome to our Pelican and Eel Feeding today. You're going to stay there, are you? Okay. My name is Lauren, and of course I'm joined by some pretty amazing birds here on the beach at Pelican Point. Obviously we are joined by the Australian pelican here in front of me. I have a couple of other different species. We've got a cormorant next to me. We've got cormorants on the ground here. The black one's called the little black cormorant. We also have the pied cormorants, and we have a little pied cormorant next to me as well. So we've also got a couple of ibis that like to hang around here too, but all these guys are wild, except one girl. She's this beautiful girl right here. Her name is Line, and Line is the resident pelican here at the sanctuary with us. She lives here with us. You might notice she's got an anklet on her right foot. That just indicates to us that she is a part of our ambassador team here at the sanctuary. And the reason why we actually do this feed in particular is mainly for her. So you might notice that she waddles along the beach. She actually can't fly. So she did sustain quite a bad injury to her wing a few decades ago. We do believe that she was found back in the late 80s down in Sydney. And she had fishing line entanglement wrapped around her wing. And it was that severe, there you go, you can see her right wing there. It was that severe that it was really bad for her health and her life. That we did have to unfortunately amputate her wing because of it. So she hasn't got most of her primary feathers, and to be able to fly properly you do need all your primary feathers. So sadly for Line, she has lost her mode of transport, but she hasn't lost her sassy personality. So our pelicans are an icon here in Australia. They're one of 7 different species. There you go. That you can find around the world. They are one of our largest and heaviest flying birds here in Australia. And they're all very hungry, as you can see. And so they are definitely living alongside us humans here on the beach, which is really important because we have to be mindful of just how we're treating our environment, because cases like Lyme, they do happen almost every single day. We do see a lot of these birds who come into the hospital with many injuries sustained by fishing hooks and fishing lines. So if you do see a tackle bin, just like that one at the end of the beach there, they are all over our coastline. Therefore our rubbish and our tackles in particular. So if you do see any discarded fishing equipment, just pop it in the bin, because it can definitely help to save a life of some of our beautiful bird species. But our pelicans, they are an excellent fisherman. They are well equipped with that beak. That beak can get to 50 centimetres in length. It's one of the largest beaks of any bird found in the world. And they utilise that pouch like a fishing net. That pouch is really stretchy, really soft and sensitive. So they can utilise that to actually locate fish. And they plunge it into the water, utilising it like a fishing net. They'll then draw that pouch to their chest to empty out all the unwanted water. And then they'll swallow that fish down nice and head first. Now the reason why they swallow it head first is because the fish do have a lot of spines on their body. So Lake Air is a perfect breeding ground for our pelicans. They will migrate thousands of kilometres to the inner lake areas. They will breed, they'll raise their young, and when their chicks are able to be fledged, then they'll fly all the way back to the coastline. So if you've never seen a juvenile pelican or a baby pelican, it is for a good reason, because they're mainly out in the inner west areas. They're hardly ever out here on the coastline. But the way you tell the difference between an adult pelican and a juvenile is actually the coloration of their feathers. So our male and our female pelicans, our males are a bit bigger than the females, like this guy, but they've got the black and white feathers and the fully pink beak to them. And then with the juveniles, they've got more of a brown plumage with a very pale beak. So that is how you tell the difference between them. But our pelicans are absolutely stunning. They're a beautiful species of bird. But I'm going to give them a break in a minute. And I'm actually going to start feeding our eels. Now you might see that the eels are coming up on the shoreline here, up in the shallows. They are an amazing part of our talk as well. Now even though they are called the freshwater eel, these guys can be found in pretty much any body of water. They're very hardy animals. There we go. Bit of a wind day here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand my feet up on the beach. Now that is showcasing to you just how well they move themselves. Now we actually haven't trained these eels to be able to do this. It's actually an instinctive behaviour. they pair vibration, there we go, with a potential food source. So I'm stamping my feet, creating that vibration up on the shore, on the sand, and it's telling them where the food is actually located. So they're not fussy eaters whatsoever. I do have some chicken necks here for them. Now when it comes to them hunting, they don't have good eyesight. So you can see that they're coming up onto the beach a little bit confused where they are. I'm not going to say that, there you go. Because they actually can't see very well. So they have to rely on that sense of vibration and their really good sense of smell to actually locate their food in the wild, which is what I'm trying to help them out with today. But they are excellent at maneuvering themselves up onto the beach. They're kind of like a snake in that sense. They've got really slimy skin and they've got those really strong muscles as well to help them to push themselves right up onto the shore to grab hold of their food. So when it comes to their prey, these guys will pretty much eat absolutely anything that they get their mouths on. So do not do this out in the wild because you will lose a finger in the process, and I guarantee you it is a nasty feeling when you get bitten by an eel. But they will feed on carrion, dead carcass, anything that might sink to the bottom of the ocean or the waterway, or anything that might be washed up onto the shoreline. So essentially they are really good for our ecosystem because they clean up and they do really well at keeping all our waterways nice and healthy. But in terms of live prey, they might eat maybe a little duckling or a little moorhen, unfortunately. But that is as big as their prey items will go. We often do get the question, can they live amongst our water birds here? Yes, they can. These guys are actually too large for them to consume, and vice versa. The pelicans will not really eat these sized eels because they are just a little bit too big for them. But we do have a few different sizes in this lake here which determine their age. These eels can get roughly up to about 40 years in age, so they're quite a long-lived species. And in size, they can get roughly up to about 2 meters. They get quite large as well. So they're one impressive animal, very instinctual. They're not everybody's favourite, but they are a really important animal to have amongst our waterways as well. Now guys, that does bring our talk to a close here today.
So there's 7 species of pelican in the world. Lightweight. A lot of facts. So where are we heading now, Brandon? Do you want to try and see echidnas and then start walking?
Let's just go.
Yeah? Okay. So we're going to head towards the bird show. Hopefully beat all of these people there, because they're probably show hoppers like us. Show my bird wounds, in case the other ones don't show up very well.
Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary, and a big special welcome to our Wildskies Pre-Flight Bird Show. My name is Tegan. I'm Sarah. And today we are going to introduce you to some incredible feathered ambassadors. So cast your eyes to the skies, as we have 3 of our beautiful black kites joining us today, Ash, Cinder and Brooke.
The black kite can be found in a variety of different habitats, including timbered watercourses, green, grassy plains, but they can even be heard in and around our outback towns as well. And in their natural habitat, black kites are spectacular, constantly twisting and soaring on the wind in there, demonstrating a feeding technique that we call feeding on the wind.
Yeah, so this feeding technique is very energy efficient. We are just demonstrating it right now, so you can pinpoint the moment that our birds grab that food in their talons and throw it directly into their beak. Now this is really safe for our birds, as they don't have to come down to the ground where predators can ambush them while they're trying to eat.
Now what they do is they pick up burning twigs and sticks from these fires, and they actually drop them, creating their own miniature bushfire. Now they do this to attract any insects to the blaze, but also any mammals who are fleeing it as well.
And they were just demonstrating another little nickname that they've earned themselves, and that is the Pirates of the Sky. So they will have those little couples all the time in the sky with each other and other birds as well. They actually are known to ambush other birds to steal the food out of their talons.
And when they do this, they look pretty spectacular, forming quite big swarms. And lagoons, however, they more commonly can be seen resting on top of our rock crevices and coral reefs, as well as our lampposts. I'm sure you've seen them along the coastline, Palm Beach. Now these guys have a pretty characteristic way of feeding. In fact, that elongated bill there can grow up to 50 centimetres in length. And they also have a hook on the end of that upper mandible which helps them hook onto a lot more slipperier fish. Now this way of hunting for our pelicans, it does actually leave them susceptible to being hooked and entangled in our active and our discarded fishing lines. You see, it only takes one negative action to cause such harm and one positive one to prevent it. Why wouldn't you want to help birds like Marlin? He even knows the pelican thrust. Take it away, Marlin. Everyone, Marlin! Which is Jettison bycatch. Now this guy here is Monster, and he is a crested tern. Now our crested terns are a pretty common sight alongside our coastline. They can be seen going as far as 10 kilometres out to sea though, to pick up some anchovies and sardines during the breeding season. However, the crested tern does have a pretty unique way of catching. What they'll do is they'll dive into the water from heights of 10 metres above and then 1 metre below the surface. And all of that yummy, yummy juice is spraying over your head today. It's not just water, it is fish juice. Now, Monster here, there has been records of little crested terns like him being flown quite far inland to the central areas of Australia. Now, you might be wondering why a little bird like Monster would be so far inland, but I think he's trying to tell me something. Just one moment. Yep. Okay, well Monster's not a very good weatherman. He thinks it's going to rain. I'm going to get him out of here so he doesn't get blown inland. Everyone, I'll get him out safely. Monster, the crested tern.
It is believed that the increase in black cockatoos seen in an area can be a sign that rain is on the way. And First Nations Australians believe that each individual seen or heard in a flock can equal one day's worth of rain. Identifying each individual, however, that does take a little bit more attention to detail. Now we are joined by 3 beautiful girls on stage today and 2 species of black cockatoo. So the first of which is the lovely Licorice, who is making those very long flights up the back there. And she is our yellow-tailed black cockatoo. Very easily distinguished by those beautiful yellow tail feathers and her clown-like cheek patches as well. Now the other 2 girls with me are Barbara and Phoenix, and they are our red-tailed black cockatoos. Very easily distinguished by those fiery red tail feathers that they're showing off for you on stage here today. Now these girls here, they are all ambassadors for their species here at Currumbin, as unfortunately, out of the 5 species of black cockatoos we have here in Australia, 2 of which are already considered endangered. Now with our yellow-tailed black cockatoos, I'm sure everyone that lives locally would have seen or heard them before. So they are also known as the whales of the sky, as these birds have extremely loud calls, and they do flock in very large numbers around our coast. Our red-tailed blacks, however, they are a little bit harder to spot around here. You will see them more often in your hinterland regions. So if you do go for hikes anywhere around the Gold Coast hinterland, you might be lucky enough to see them. And as you can hear, they are also a lot more easy to hear than they are to see. Hopefully Licorice will come and say hello. Beautiful. So they make a great pair. Gorgeous. Thank you very much. You make an awesome treat. Now this beautiful lady here that has just popped out of one of our tree hollows, her name is Gorilla. And she is a masked owl. And she is one of the many animals that rely on tree hollows for survival. Now the masked owl is the largest owl in the typhoid family, and they are an expert in hearing. And that is because her frayed feather edges make it that she can fly completely silently through the night. And this is an amazing way for her to ambush her prey, as they will never hear her coming. Now see, as she flies towards our stump here, that she will actually hover momentarily before she jumps on her food. Another great way for her to capture her prey without them even knowing. Now it isn't just owls that have had to adapt. There are many different nocturnal animals that have had to adapt to us humans. And this beautiful little lady here is Tui. And Tui is our
our beautiful little barking owl. Now she's known for her two-tone whoop whoop call. Yeah, the barking owl spray can consist of a number of different items. Delicious?
That is just fabulous. Now they also have a number of adaptations. In fact, they can turn their neck around a whopping 270 degrees. So that means that they can hunt in the dawn and dusk periods of the day and the night. So nothing is safe at any time of day.
Our sanctuary here at Currumbin is set on just 25 hectares. So that's a very big house for a very little bird. Now all of these adaptations, I'm sure you will agree, all make Tui a very formidable hunter of the day and the night. Ladies and gentlemen, with our beautiful barking owl.
Cavill Eagle. Tessie here is our male wedge-tailed eagle with a wingspan that can reach over 2.5 meters and weighing in at just over 3.5 kilos this morning. Our females though can reach weights of over 5 kilograms. At their highest height, they soar 1,800 meters above sea level. Introducing to you some of our more colourful feathered ambassadors. Some you have already met, like Phoenix and Licorice here, our black cockatoo. This is the absolutely adorable Dexter, the Australian king parrot. Making all that noise on the back of your head, that was Squirt, our major visual cockatoo. And keep an eye out for his best friend Brain, the humble Galah. Now these feathered ambassadors have come out here today to say a massive thank you. Thank you for joining us here at Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary and for making a difference in your life. The showstoppers themselves up there, they are Big Bird and Willow, albacore all the way from South America, reminding you about all the beauty we do actually have in this world and what we can do to protect it. Because the power to change the world, it could start with every single one of you. Thank you so much everyone. Have an amazing rest of your day here at Currumbin.
Came from the bird show. It's really good. It's very scripted, so and all the birds know exactly what they're supposed to do. It's quite interesting. Now we're heading to the Tasmanian devil to hear the keeper talk, and I think we have arrived.
A long time, but they're only about 1.5 years of age. So obviously these two girls get along really well, hence why they're in the same enclosure here. But we do have a bunch of other enclosures. I think we've got 3 other enclosures scattered around our sanctuary today with different devils inside. Now this is because not all devils get along, so some devils will be solitary out there in the wild, and some will sort of hang around in their family group. And it's not uncommon for devils to be very territorial and fight for that territory. Thankfully, however, these two girls are getting along really, really well. And in our other enclosures, you'll notice the majority of them are in pairs as well, so they all seem to get along really well. So these two are our youngest of our devils. So they have got the most life in them. You can see they're running around waiting for the enrichment that I'm going to put out here today. So we're not actually putting some food out for them, that comes later in the day for these guys. But because you can see they're using their incredible sense of smell to have a smell around things today. And what I've got for them today is what we call scent enrichment. So I've got these cardboard boxes down here which I'm going to throw in. A lot of people think that that's rubbish that people are just throwing in there, and that's not the case at all. It's just not, it's cardboard, so they're not going to ingest any plastic and things like that when they do play with it. But when I do throw it in there, it really mimics that of their natural feeding technique. So Tasmanian devils are scavengers, so they're very opportunistic feeders, pretty much feeding on anything they can get their jaws around. So today I've got some of our chicken feedings. So we've got some chicken poop and a bit of the chicken nesting material, which will really smell like chickens, which is one of these guys' favourite food. Obviously we're not going to throw our chickens in here, but we're going to provide them with some scent enrichment. So this is going to really using their noses, and it's like a chicken would have been in their enclosure, all of the smells that they're going to have there. So I'll throw that in for you now, and you'll really see, they get excited for this, how much they use their nose and how excited they get when there's something different in their enclosure. Yeah, come up to the front here, guys. So out there in the wild, Tasmanian devils will pretty much grasp onto a carcass, ripping out bits of flesh, and so the introduction of Europeans and the settlements displaced a lot of our Tasmanian devils from the mainland. So unfortunately there are no Tasmanian devils left on our mainland. You can only find them in the wild in Tasmania. Which is really sad because they're such an iconic Australian species. In fact, they are the largest carnivorous marsupial in the entire world. So here in Australia, we are sort of home of the marsupials. We've got all of our macropod species, like our big kangaroos and wallabies, also like our possums and our gliders. But we've also got Tasmanian devils and a bunch of other carnivorous marsupials as well. So our Tasmanian devils are the largest of those guys. In fact, they have one of the largest bite forces of any animal relative to their size. So you definitely don't want to get bitten by one of these guys. If you have a look at their teeth, they've got these incredible canines, and obviously they've got incredible bite force as well. So these guys definitely are built for ripping apart whatever they might be feeding on there. They're in a bit of a nibble on the chicken poop here today. Breeding efforts are being conducted in different institutions around Australia. We have been breeding Tasmanian devils here, not necessarily for to release them back into the wild, but we've had bits of breeding programs here to establish a stable population in a captive environment, because unfortunately they are at risk of becoming extinct out there in the wild. So in Tasmania they're doing a whole lot of efforts to try and save them. They've actually started vaccinating Tasmanian devils against the facial tumour disease, so that is one of the biggest threats to Tasmanian devils at the present day. Basically it is a contagious form of cancer, so there's only one of 3 contagious cancers in the entire world, and one of them is only found in our Tasmanian devils here in Australia. So what happens is, unfortunately, they get these horrific facial tumours on their face, and it's spread through their feeding, so they might all be feeding in the same area, but also through fighting and breeding, when they really get bite marks on each other's face, and that's how it's spread. Unfortunately, it does cause these big facial tumours, and unfortunately they do starve to death because they're unable to see and eat properly with all of that things going on. There is some pretty horrific photos of it near the Tasmanian devil enclosure on the way to the kangaroo paddock, if you do want to check that out. But it does look really, really sad for our Tasmanian devils. It looks like they're in so much pain with those facial tumours. So thankfully they've started vaccinating them, healthy Tasmanian devils, to try to combat the increasing spread of that disease. But unfortunately a lot of the Tasmanian devils that are in that program are getting hit by cars, and that's one of the other main threats to them down there in Tasmania as well. Unfortunately, there's a lot of roadkill from our roads and our cars, and that's what the Tasmanian devils like to feed on, unfortunately. So if any of you are down in Tasmania, just make sure you slow down on those roads. And we do tell people here in Australia, if you can, to try to drag anything off the road, because that's what Tasmanian devils are going to go feed on. And if they're coming onto the road to feed, that's when they're more likely to be hit by cars. So it could be as simple as dragging something off the side of the road, and think of saving the life of that beautiful Tasmanian devils, as well as any other scavenger species that likes to feed on roadkill. Something that's really nice and cool under the ground there to keep yourself nice and safe. So naturally there's not too many predators for Tasmanian devils in Tasmania. On the mainland, however, they were competing for food with foxes and also wild dogs, which could be interbreeding with our dingoes as well. I'll get more into that in our dingo talk. And the Tasmanian tiger. So as we know, the Tasmanian tiger went extinct in captivity in the 1930s. I'm not too sure when it was extinct in the wild before then, but naturally Tasmanian tigers and Tasmanian devils would have been competing each other for food. There's a little model of a Tasmanian tiger over here. You can see they're about twice the size of a Tasmanian devil. So you can see they would have been the largest carnivorous marsupial, but now that place has fallen onto the Tasmanian devil, not the tiger. As also, these leaves don't contain much nutritional value at all. So a koala needs to eat about 1 kilogram of these leaves every single day just to stay alive. But they also have no energy because these leaves have got actually no nutritional value. So for that reason, they do sleep about 23 hours of the day. For that reason, they do look very sluggish and tired all the time as well. So if you'd like the equivalent of us eating lettuce all day, every day, You can imagine you wouldn't have a lot of energy to do anything. So this is our koala nursery here. So the numbers of mums and joeys is constantly changing because these joeys are graduating from the nursery here over to the other side where the koalas are, and there's obviously more koalas being born all the time as well. So koalas are a marsupial species, very iconic here in Australia. They give birth to a jelly bean sized joey, so it's pink, it's furless, and it's blind, but they have very developed forearms which they'll actually climb up mum's stomach and attach themselves to her teat inside the pouch there. There is the opportunity for twins, however there is only one teat in the pouch, so unfortunately survival of the fittest, and only one of those will generally make it. So the joey will attach itself in the pouch there for about 6 months, and you'll start to see maybe a hand, a limb, or even a head start to pop out, and as they start to get bigger and start to develop fur as well. Now once they start emerging from the pouch, coming in and out, they'll get that thicker coat of fur, and they'll also start to gain weight rapidly as well. So one of the biggest steps in a koala's development is moving from milk to leaf. So obviously they're feeding on milk when they're attached to mum's teat, but to move them onto solid food, which is their leaf, mum actually creates pap, which is a type of poo that she produces, and that's basically a pasty type poo that the joey will eat to gain a taste for the leaves and the eucalyptus, and then to make that transition to the solid food. So very similar how to human babies do make that transition as well. Joeys will make that transition once they've developed a taste for the eucalyptus. Now they'll stay with mum for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, depending on how mum is feeling, until mum kicks them off and basically tells them to be on their own. This will be at around 1.5 years, but sometimes mums can be a bit sooky and they'll keep onto them for a bit longer until they really get too big and they start to be about the same size as mum trying to jump on her back. So for that time, mum will stay with joey. In the nursery here, we've noticed that some mums are really good. They'll actually take on other mums' joeys, and some mums will have time for a break while the other mum will sort of babysit their joey for them. So they do get along really well. You might notice around the park all of our females are housed together, and this is because female koalas do seem to get along in the same enclosure. Out there in the wild though, koalas are solitary, so you won't really find them all hanging out together. But we found here at the sanctuary, our female koalas do get along really well. It's the males that we have the problem with. So they're very territorial. You will see them out in the wild chasing each other, even fighting for territory. And it would be the same case here if we were to put males in the same enclosure. It would obviously end a lot worse because there's no way to escape for those guys. So for that reason, for their safety, we keep them separate in their own enclosures. So as regard as breeding goes here, we have a special matchmaking system. We like to call it our Tinder for koalas. So we'll have a female or a male on a perch, and we might bring over a male or a female, and depending on their reaction is depending on how compatible they are. So during the breeding season, which starts in about April, that's when the koalas really get in the mood for breeding, and that's when we'll start to introduce them to a potential mate. Depending on how they react with that matchmaking, we'll put them in an enclosure together, and in the next week or so they will have mated, and we would probably have a joey in the next couple of weeks after that as well. So the gestation period for koalas is only about 2 weeks. So very small, so when they do give birth, it's about this big, about the size of a jelly bean. So very, very underdeveloped, and most of that developing will be done externally in the pouch. Alrighty guys, well that does come to the end of our koala talk here. If anyone else has any questions about these guys, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I've got some gum here as well. If you guys want to come and grab a leaf, you can pull it off and have a good sniff. It does smell really nice, and you really get a feel for what koalas are eating. I will let you know as well, this is the tips of the leaves. So you might notice here, a lot of the tops of the leaves there are stripped. We call that the tips, that's where the newer leaves come from, and that's their favourite. So they usually eat the tips more so than the mature leaves down the bottom. So to farm all of our eucalyptus, we have plantations around the Gold Coast, and we sustainably farm that eucalyptus to feed all of our koalas every single day. It's a big job. So all of these leaves get replaced every single day.
So those leaves aren't grown on the tree itself?
No, so they're in pots of water.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
So what they do is they grow a eucalyptus tree to about 10 metres, they cut it at the main trunk, and it will start sprouting out the side that they can continue to harvest. Yeah. Yeah. Come and grab a leaf, guys. If you have any questions, I'll stick around and answer them for you. Other than that, I'll be heading up to our dingo enclosure in a few moments to have our stop 3 on our conservation trail. Just up there at the boardwalk.
Snippet.
So we've got some males here.
Smells like a leaf.
There's also some at the front.
Might have to rub it more.
Out the front of the rest. So
We're heading to the dingoes. Brandon wants to sell the leaf again. Yeah, he gave us a. Oh, he tasted it. Why'd you eat it? There's no nutrition.
It has much more taste than it has smell.
Oh, does it? Oh, now you can smell it. Now you can smell it. You broke the skin. Yeah, it smells like super clean. Unlike the koalas, the leaves smell clean. Yeah, going to the dingoes.
Dingoes, however, have really caused a positive impact. They help keep control of all of these introduced species like the cats and foxes. They also help keep down our native populations like our kangaroos and possums as well. But they're also companions for the First Nations people as well. They were depicted in cave art and Dreamtime stories, so they've got a lot of history here in our culture as well. Although they do look very, very domesticated and friendly, in which they are, they do obviously have those wild instincts. Now, we do see this firsthand, unfortunately, if something was to land in their enclosure. There has been some unfortunate turkeys and some possums and things overnight that we found in the morning. There's not much left of them, unfortunately, but that means that the dingo actually takes them down and consumes most of that animal. Very much like they would be out there in the wild. So our 3 boys are alpine dingoes, so there's 3 subspecies of dingo here in Australia. You've got your alpine dingoes, which are usually found further south in the mountainous regions where it's quite cold and even snowy. So for that reason, these boys do develop a second coat during the winter time. So in summer they actually lose that coat and they look a lot skinnier than they would normally. You'll see that easily when Marek comes out. So he's going to be coming on a walk shortly and coming to introduce himself and say hello. He looks quite fluffy and a lot bigger than these guys here. And that's entirely that second coat. So you'll really see it on set. He's a lot skinnier there. He's the one that's just out by the water bowl. And that's because he lost that second coat as we went into them up. These guys are purebred dingoes, so the purest form of dingoes that are left in Australia are those that are bred in captivity, or the ones that are over on Fraser Island. So what's been happening on the mainland is dingoes have been interbreeding with wild dogs, so over generations they've been losing that pure dingo status. So a lot of the dingoes that you'll see on the mainland might have only a certain percentage of dingoes, and the rest of that will just be wild dogs. So dingoes is believed they have about a 30% larger brain capacity, so they are a lot more intelligent and better at problem solving than the dogs at home, getting keen for some food. So obviously dingoes are carnivores, so they have a meat-based diet. However, I went to Fraser Island last year and I saw evidence of them eating coconuts on the beach there, so they don't only just eat meat, they'll eat other things as well if they need to. Our dingoes here are very well fed, they're very well looked after, but we try to give them a very natural meat-based diet. So we'll give them kangaroo tails, emu mince, we'll give them kangaroo mince. They love chicken, so chicken necks, chicken drumsticks, chicken frames, and sometimes we'll even give them eggs, and they do actually dog kibble, surprisingly. So sad, he's waiting for, he's seen the buggy, the buggy's gone past. So the buggies usually their indication that their keeper is coming back to give them some food. Unfortunately, we're just going to talk to them, so we're not giving out any food for these guys today. They've got to wait for that a bit later on. I'm not too sure what food they'll be getting today, but they're quite hungry there. Dingoes don't necessarily fit in that pack. They will either fight for dominance or they'll be chased away from the pack or killed. Now, in the example of Marek, he was coming off second best in those scuffles, so in the wild, he would have either been killed or basically pushed out of the pack and become a solitary dingo. Now, this does happen out there in the wild, and Marek is very happy being a solitary dingo. It means he is the boss of his own enclosure and doesn't really have to answer to anyone. But considering that they are 13 now, they have taken a bit more of a relaxed view on that, but we still wouldn't want to risk housing them together permanently. A second coat on there. I don't have any food, buddy. And because he is 13, very much like old dogs do at home, they get little skin tags on their skin, and that's what these little shave patches were. So we did have them removed a few months ago, but because of his age, we don't think that the fur is going to grow back in those little patches there. So he's going to have some little patchy bits continuing on. But they were removed just because they were really annoying him. So no, there was no cancer or anything like that in them, or no melanomas. It was just a little skin tag that was annoying him. So we thought it'd be best to remove it for him. You want to say hello to anybody? There he's off.
Hey, we're stopping for lunch at Beefy's. We got some Aussie pies. We've had Aussie pies before, they're pretty good. So, quite excited. It's like right beside the Tasmanian devils that we went to, and the entire talk we kept smelling it. And now we're here to eat some. I don't know if this is the correct way to eat it, but that's how we eat it. We usually pull off the top so it cools down. Oh no! Friends, putting ketchup on tomato sauce. Tomato sauce on.
Tomato sauce.
Tomato sauce. Thanks, Brandon. You are a swan. I think I'm an osprey. I'm almost an osprey.
Yeah, about 6 inches short. Yeah, with your bun, you're almost 1.7 meters.
I'm almost an osprey bun. And what's this? How much do I weigh? You're not allowed to know. 58, so I'm almost between a cassowary and the red-male kangaroo. Okay, Brandon is between a red-male kangaroo and a crocodile with a backpack on, full of stuff. Oh. This is the wildlife hospital. They're doing some work on something. Except we can't go in there because we are not certified. I can't see what it is either. I'm not sure what they're doing, but good luck! Got all their fancy tool stitch. Gloves and needles. I can't see any of this. Donating. Brandon likes animals a little more than he likes people. So he's okay giving some money to the animals. Yeah. We're missing this tour today. Well, we already missed it. It was at the same time as the Tasmanian devils. But we will probably be back at least once more. This place has lots to do.
The big bird is a veteran of our shows. He's actually 17 years of age. And he is a green-winged macaw. So he comes out here for both bird shows every single day. He always gets the opportunity to say no, have a day off. However, pretty much every single day, Big Bird will be out here flying around in our first show area here. So this is Lauren. She is the Presentation and Animal Training team leader. So she has a very close relationship with Big Bird. She has been with him for a lot of his life, and he trusts her very, very much. So they're going to be standing up here on our stage and doing some behaviours. So behaviours for our animals here at the sanctuary are always natural behaviours. So we've never asked Big Bird to do anything that was unnatural to a bird. He's going to be doing things like lifting up his feet and his perches. He's going to be doing things like stretching out his wings. He's going to be doing things like bobbing his head from side to side, all things that macaws do. Macaws are actually very, very intelligent. They have the intelligence of up to a 5-year-old child. So for those of you who've ever considered having a bird as a pet, macaws do not make the greatest. They are very smart and they need a lot of stimulation. So this guy who's Big Bird, he not only flies in our shows twice a day, he also gets enrichment in his day as well. So for instance, this is enrichment for him. This is a lot of enrichment coming out when he's not actually supposed to be out here for a show, not telling him to do his show routines, but other behaviours. And he gets to witness other things going on around him. So for instance, the train. That's not something that we usually see in our free flight bird shows, but Big Bird is doing an amazing job. He's still doing those behaviours, he's not looking stressed at all, so he's doing a really great job managing the different noises and sounds that he's experiencing right now. So what Lauren's got there is a target stick. So this is how we train a lot of behaviours in our bird. For instance, we can train him to pop his beak on that target like he's doing now. A macaw's beak is very strong and dangerous. So if we need him to put his beak on a target so that we can administer vet treatment to him, so that we can give him a check over his body, then that's a lot less stressful than pinning him down, taking him into the hospital. So every single day we can do this for him. We can have a look at his feet, check out the bottoms of them, make sure they're looking nice and healthy. We can even do nail trims on him by placing his beak on that target. We can ask him to spread out his wings, just like that. That'll have a look at all of his feathers down there, making sure that they're looking nice and healthy and beautiful. And yeah, that's just a really safe way for us and for Big Bird to be able to look at him in a really low stress environment as well. So the fact that Big Bird is out here doing all these behaviours and looking really comfortable is a really, really great thing for him. It means that this little enrichment session for him is really positive. However, we are able to make it a lot more positive by giving him some of his favourite food as well. So his favourite food is sunflower seeds and nuts. He loves almonds, Brazil nuts are some of his favourites as well. So making sure that we are using those high value reinforcement when he's out here at the stage and when he's also doing his behaviours inside of his enclosure as well. He's a very, very smart bird. As I mentioned, macaws have that brain capacity of a 5-year-old. So he learns very quickly. However, with the help of that target stick, pretty much if a bird is target trained, they can do pretty much everything. As long as they keep at it, they are set up for a really, really good positive life with their training. So because Big Bird is a free flight bird, he does have a number of other cues, like lowering his cues to the head. That's something that we use as a bit of a recall. Macaws are also great at mimicking. So he'll mimic words, say hello. He actually, more often than not, will call us by our names. He knows Lauren. He knows Sarah. He even knows the single ladies tune. That's what Lauren's doing right now. He's going, he's very cheeky. Big Bird also has a very different tongue to us humans. We know that tongues are a really strong muscle. They're so strong that they can actually crush up nuts with their tongue alone. So they're very, very, very strong, as with that beak as well. And macaws eat a variety of different things. They like fruits, nuts, vegetables. We do make them eat their greens. And they also love chunks of fruit, so really large chunks. So naturally in the wild, they would probably find a fruit tree and pick away at that fruit. They wouldn't always find little chunks of fruit neatly in a bowl. So we actually do give them really big fruit chunks, which they get to pick apart. We give them fruit or food inside of packages that they have to undo as well. So lots of enrichment for a really, really intelligent species like Big Bird. We're going to say goodbye, Big Bird. Thank you so much, Big Bird. You have been great.
Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to our Billabong Falls. My name is Sarah and I'm going to be doing our turtle feeding here today. So first of all, you would have noticed, yes, our lake is a bit covered in weeds. It is turtle weed or duckweed. The turtles actually do use it. However, they cannot keep up with how much there is.
it is very, very hard to keep on top of it. The turtles, they don't really mind. They actually use it for camouflage. However, we do need to be mindful that our turtles can struggle coming through it. So we always make sure that we do have a few platforms around so they can rest, because turtles can't actually hold their breath forever. They can only hold their breath underwater for about 45 minutes, and then they have to come up to breathe. They don't have gills. So yeah, here he is. So that's why we keep on top of the weeds. So I'm going to start throwing in a bit of food here. The fish are probably going to grab a few of them. Turtles have to be quicker. A lot of the injured turtles that we find through the hospital are actually ones who had swallowed fishing equipment. So we do have a jar over at the hospital. So if you get over there, have a look in the window, there's always a jar there. And it's always filled with fishing equipment that is found inside of the stomachs or around our animals that come in through the wildlife hospital. And that usually fills up in about 2 months. So we do have to empty it and refill it. And it does get quite full. Another reason why our turtles do get into a bit of stripe is actually car stripe. So you imagine looking at their coloration, a turtle on a road will blend in very, very well. They look like a rock, or they just look like the road. So when they do get hit by a car, most of the time their shells do crack. Now this is really painful for our turtles. What happens is that their spine is actually connected to their shells. So their rib cage, their spine, it's all connected. So it's essentially like a spinal injury for us. So what we can do is always look out for them on our roads. How they get onto our roads is usually by flood water as well. And I've also got a photo here of what we do in the wildlife hospital to help our turtles who do get hit by cars. So what we do with their shells is we actually attach putty, builder's putty, to the ends of it, the ends of that crack on either side, and then we just use a hook and eye, and we tighten that hook and eye over time, and then that crack will actually close up. So this is a really innovative technique that our lead vet Michael Pine has discovered, and that now is used in facilities everywhere. So this is a really great way that we can help our turtles. However, because this is such a painful injury for our turtles, it can actually cause them to stay in the wildlife hospital rehabilitation area for over 3 months. 3 to 6 size of about a large dinner plate that is then fully grown, and they'll be approximately 30 years of age. So I'm going to open up to you guys. If you would like to do a little bit of feeding here with me, I'm going to hand out a bit of food. So,
Turtle food.
Right, for seconds, let's go.
Is that growth on the water always?
Yeah,
there?
so it's not always, so it is pretty seasonal. What we have to do to navigate it is actually pull it out and get rid of it. Yeah, because it does kind of cover it all. But with these resting platforms, that helps us out a bit. But yeah, we actually got rid of most of it a week ago.
We're off. Duckweed and azolia. She also called it turtleweed. This is their billabong fall. It does look like a big old thing of grass. Oh, there's another turtle. Oh, he's gone. So there's one. He missed out on the feeding.
No sunglasses.
On my top of my head, so hopefully not. He's eating the plant. Good turtle. Doing his job. feel like I'd want to come back. I feel like I'd want to come back. That looks like a pretty awesome one. Hey you. You sleeping? Hey. What's happening?
Pieces of fruit to make them easy.
And the kookaburras flitting around too. Guy's just cleaning his paws now. I feel like their experience would be fun. I wonder if they're kind of like, yeah, I was going to say kind of like a badger. Except I couldn't remember the name. Are you going down? Are you going down? Yes. He wraps his tail around it. Darling on that piece of chicken. He knows he owns the place.
It does. It's his little home.
Hi.
Big home, I should say. Big acreage.
Oh, you're gonna go by your brother now, aren't you? He eats leaves and stuff. He's a tree kangaroo, so maybe he doesn't need the best vision. I don't know. Whatever is the predator in Indonesia. Your favorite one? Eating or something. Just watching these guys preening. Is that what it's called? Preening their feathers? Preening? This guy's Brandon's favorite. He's got attitude. Wouldn't that be something? Did I feel it anymore after the abuse of the lorikeets from this morning? Are you sleeping again? This guy's just sleeping. Little cockatiels in the back. You gonna do it? What are you doing? You gonna fly? Come on, you can do it.
Oh, we had one. We got the princess part yet. Look at that, we had Molly. Remember Molly?
Can you do it? No? Come on, you can do it. Are you joining your friend over there?
You can see them socializing.
There at the back. I think I pet this one the other day. Its nose looks familiar. Got some good scratches. Yeah. That feel nice? Caught you petting one. So little girl. We're just gonna hang out for a while. Is that true? Did you spit on yourself? Keep yourself cool.
I suppose here they can just go back to the water.
Yeah. People trying to break into the food thing. So we stopped at the Wild Things candy store, and me and Brandon have binge watched Rick and Morty like 3 or 4 times this year. It was on Netflix. It was on Netflix and we never saw it, and we both of us really wanted to see it, and here they had Pickle Rick mint, so we got it and we're going to share it because it's huge. It takes up the whole package, so quite excited. I already opened it and it was amazing. Cheers. Can't get him unless he's like right by the light, and then the light just like drowns him out. Where you going, little buddy?
Yeah.
So another full day at Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. Just left right before the afternoon Lorikeet feeding. Last time we went to the afternoon one, it wasn't anything spectacular, and we went this morning at 8. I spent a whole day there, went to almost all of the shows. Some of them were during, like there was like 2 going on at the same time, so we had to kind of choose. So probably end up going back at least once more. A little story times. So when we were at the bird show, we were waiting for it to start, and there was this lizard that was running around, and it just like ran straight from the stage right at this one lady, stopped, stared at her feet that were in her sandals, and just bit her toe. I thought it was like a worm or something, I don't know.
Nibbled on her toe to see if it was edible.
So you might want to wear shoes if you don't want the lizards checking to see if your toes are food. Yeah, it was a good day. My favorite was the Lorikeet Feeding. It was Brandon's favorite until they pooped on him. So your favorite was, you think, the Pelicans and Eel Feeding?
Yeah.
That one was pretty cool.
Wildskies was cool.
Yeah. It's a good day. Probably gonna go swim. We'll cool off in the pool. And we're off again! So you'll have to trust us. We did come home and we took a quick dip in the pool and we rinsed off and decided, because we don't have anything in our fridge, we are going for Mexican. So Brandon's matching me today. He's got his light blue, I got light blue, and whoop, my cute new little shorts. Look how cute these are. With my new bag that does not match whatsoever. We got to video when they were all pretty on the plate. So there's one left. Brandon's almost done. It looks like tomato juice. That's so red. Yes. So our vaginas have arrived. Toasty. What?
So it'd be cool to stay there.
It'd be cool to stay there?
Yeah.
Oh, he's sorry. It's so good.
Watch my hands. I'm going to have to do this while opening and closing my hands with the right timing. The closer to the ground that it gets, the faster it goes. Who was that? Was that you? Back up a little bit. Back up. That's why we do the test run. You're all great. You're all good. Are you guys ready for the finale? Say yeah! All right, here we go.